If the Bible's got you tied in knots, if you're burdened with religious thoughts, come grab a drink and join the choir. It's Heretic Happy Hour.
Hello, friends. Welcome to your favorite podcast on the entire internet, the Heretic Happy Hour. Yes, you made it. You're here, and so are we. And we are so glad you joined us. My name is Keith Giles. I'm one of three co-hosts of the Heretic Happy Hour podcast. And we want to welcome you. And I want to also introduce, actually, I have them introduce themselves. Jamal and Matt. Say hi, guys.
Hi, friends. My name is Jamal Javanji. It is a pleasure to be back on the Heretic Happy Hour podcast with you guys. I'm the author of my most recent book is Living for a Living, which is available in paperback, Kindle, and Audible as well. So it is good to be back on here. And by the way, I just want to mention, I really loved our theme song, you know? Any clue? Any, who did that again? Who put that together?
I can't remember.
Okay.
Who was that?
Just really good. It's really good.
It was like a romantic Bob Dylan.
Yes.
Yes, of course, that was Barrett. And that makes me Matthew DiStefano, author of how many books? 5 books now. Not so more than Jamal, not as many as Keith. The latest being the Bonfire Sessions, which of course is still 99 cents. So go pick that up.
Worth every penny.
Yes, worth every penny. It's not many pennies, but it's worth every one. I'm gonna put that in quotes, Keith, and that's gonna be the endorsement.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. And before we get into it today, of course, we have a word from our sponsor, which is, again, Wild Foods. You can find their supplements and all of their gear that they have at wildfoods.co. They've got adaptogenic mushrooms. I've been raving about the hemp protein powder, which is delicious, and I love putting in shakes. They have no artificial flavorings ever. They've got a bunch of mushrooms, not those kind of mushrooms, but good mushrooms. So pick up their products at wildfoods.co. Use promo code HAPPYHOUR12 to get 12% off your order. The children are excited.
Yes.
Kids love it.
Yes. What a
Kids
great
love it.
sponsor, by the way. We have a fantastic sponsor for the show. Awesome. Well, if it's okay, I would like to make an announcement. If that's okay. Can do that?
Yeah, sure.
Well,
Perfect time.
Yeah. So the folks who have not listened to this, if this is your first time listening to the Heretic Happy Hour podcast, you may not know this, but for you, this will be a breaking news announcement. We actually have a hotline, and that does set us apart from most, I would say, until it's proven otherwise, that sets us apart from all podcasts on the internet.
Yes.
and our number, we have a phone number you can dial. It is area code 240-343-7379. Let me give that again. 240-343-7379. You can call it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if the operators haven't went home, you can leave a message on the answering machine, and we will get to that. And you can also text it as well. You can send a text to this, to the hotline as well. So, but I do believe we have a voicemail that came into the hotline. Can we cue that up?
You guys are dangerous. You take the tag heretic and you use it as a badge of honor, when what it really is doing is misleading people, manipulating people, twisting scripture. Actually, you don't even really believe the scriptures. You hate the God of the Bible, the one who has created you. And if you do not repent, you will spend an eternity in the hell in which you deny and reject.
Wow. Thank you, Ricky. Appreciate you calling in.
I have nothing to say.
Well, I mean, what kind of a threat is it to threaten you with something that he just admitted we don't believe exists? It's like, it doesn't work, right?
Can I ask a question? Okay. Was that real? Was that,
I don't know. I have no idea.
was that was that a real voicemail, or is that a joke?
It sounded real.
I think I recognize the voice, and I think it's 100% real.
I think it's my friend. Yeah.
Yeah, so go check out my response. It's called "Not in My Lane." You can find it on
That's right.
SoundCloud.
It's awesome. It's really good.
We'll link to that in the show notes.
But
Wow.
way to go to actually call our hotline to let us know. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. We know this is all news to us. We're so shocked. We had no idea. Thank you for warning us.
We have super fans. I love it. A stan. Is that what's called a stan?
I guess so. Yeah, I think that's what that's called.
I think I have a stan.
Yeah. Some of the, I think this might be the first voicemail to the hotline that I think we have no response to.
Mhm.
I don't think I literally have no response.
Yeah. So do we have a text?
We do have a text. Awesome. Quote, first, I want to thank all of you for consistently bringing us great conversations. I look forward to each new episode. My question is for Jamal. In the episode on the self, you stated that we are the Christ, or that we are Christ. That is more than the notion that Christ is in us. We are actually the same as Christ. If this is true, and Christ says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, no one comes to the Father except through me. Can we then say this about us as well? Are we in fact the way, the truth, and the life? Are we our own path to the Father? Thanks, John Turney.
Well, this has never come up before. I'm so glad that after all these episodes, someone has finally asked us this question, because it's been something I've really been wondering myself. I'm just curious, Jamal, what do you think?
Well, first of all, John Turney was the listener who posed that question. Thank you, John, for your, first of all, fantastic question to the hotline. And I do have a perspective on this, and it may seem a little bit like a stretch, but hear me out. Okay. Bear with me real quick here. Cause I don't mean to be, one of my favorite passages in the Bible is John chapter 14, verse 6. I think it's a very insightful passage. So when Jesus said, I am, when he made this claim, this statement that came out of his mouth, when he says, I am the way and the truth and the life, and no one comes to source, or no one becomes aware of the source, which is what we would call God, which everyone would agree is source. No one comes to love, which we would agree is God. God is love, apart from knowing this I am, this way. Okay, so what is the way? So that's a great question. In other places, Jesus would say, I am the resurrection and the life, or before Abraham was born, I am. And so a short answer to this question, it's a great question, this is just my understanding, is that Jesus was not speaking from story or ego ever when he would made these divine claims. Okay. Because he would use, so the term, especially in a Jewish context, I mean, this was what was revealed to Moses as what is God? God is being. I am, essence itself. And so whenever we use the term I am, we're using divine terminology. So when Jesus is saying I am something, that's very different than our temporary human character. Okay. I always like to say, I've heard it put this way. I like it. We're in a movie called Life. We are playing a character, but there's an actor behind the character. Okay. So just like you watch a movie, one of my favorite actors is Denzel Washington. So I really love him as an actor, but I may watch John Q, right? It was one of his movies, and he plays a character, John Q, and that's not John Q. Ultimately, that's who he's playing, but there's a character behind it. It's Denzel Washington. So who is the character behind Jamal? Who is the character behind John Turney? Who's the character behind Matthew DiStefano? There's a character. Well, that's the character, but there's an actor. Or I should say, who's the actor behind Jamal? Who's the actor behind Matt? Who's the actor? The actor itself is I am. The character is who we are. So when Jesus refers to, I don't believe Jesus was saying that he was the way, the truth, and the life. I think he said, I am the way and the truth and the life. And I don't think Jesus says he is the resurrection and the life. I think he says, I am the resurrection and the life. And let's not confuse the two. Okay. Because one is a story and one is transcendent. So when Jesus said, before Abraham was born, I am, he didn't say before Abraham was born, Jesus is, because Jesus was not. Jesus had a beginning and he had an end. But I am has no beginning and has no end. So Jesus didn't say these things. I am said these things. So what is the way and the truth and the life? Well, I am. And you can say that too. I am the way and the truth and the life. And no one comes to the source but through I am, which is consciousness and being. The only way to really know I am is through stillness. So be still and know that I am. And by the way, I am the way and the truth and the life. And by the way, I am the light of the world. And by the way, I am the rock, a piece of the rock in which the entire church is built on. I am. And you can say that too.
That's some deep heresy. Where's the heresy button on that one?
Yeah. Thank you. We needed that.
Hey. I love it though. I love it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. Well, and just to give a counterpoint, and I'll be brief.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's another perspective. Well, you're right. I'll do my best though. But obviously Jamal and I have always wrestled with this. That's why I was being very facetious there in my response. Jamal and I, almost from the beginning, have wrestled with this question of, I see it more as that Christ is in everyone and we are all in Christ. I kind of think Jesus was making a unique claim, and I know Jamal doesn't believe that. Because if you keep on reading, if you read that entire passage of John 14 where that conversation happens, after he says, I'm the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through me. He says, if you knew me, you would know the Father. And from now on, I'm going to the Father. And then Philip asks him, show us the Father. And then Jesus' answer wasn't, well, look at yourself and you'll see the Father. He says, no, don't you know me, Philip, even after I have been with you all this time? Again, Jesus equates himself, then if you know me, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. And again, reinforcing the idea that it's through Christ that we come to the Father. But I also, though, don't typically understand those scriptures the way most people do, or even the way I used to. I don't think that when Jesus says, I'm the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father but by me, that he's talking about how we get to heaven. I don't think that's the context of the conversation at all. I think the context is all about how do we see the Father? How do we come to the Father? How do we know who God really is? And I think what Jesus is saying is, well, if you look at me, you'll see who the Father is. In other words, if you want a clear picture of who God truly is, Jesus is the best picture we could possibly have of who the Father actually is. So that's just the way I tend to read that particular passage.
I actually agree with you completely.
No!
I think I agree with both of you.
What the hell?
Yeah, I totally, Keith, I would not disagree with anything of what you just said. I think, but I would add a caveat onto it as well, because I think our mutual friend, what's his name? Jim Palmer out of Nashville.
Yes. Love Jim.
Jim has a perspective I really appreciate in this. And I'm paraphrasing him here, obviously. But something that Jim says is that, people were so completely disconnected from their sense of self, of who they were, that Jesus had to say, okay, if you can't see yourself as the image, by the way, image, looking into a mirror, image and likeness. If you can't, we've been so misconstrued about who we truly are that we can never look at ourselves and say, oh, there's the image of God right there in myself. That Jesus is saying, look, if you don't believe, okay, believe me, look at me, because I'm the model of humanity. I'm going to show you what it's like to be truly human. And it's the purpose of humanity to be the reflection of what God is like. It's not just Jesus. Jesus is the picture of, he's the real Adam, so to speak, if we want to use that terminology, that is meant to carry out the purpose of humanity. So we're so distrustful of our own self and our own nature that we need to look outside of ourselves. So Jesus said, okay, believe me, what I say, look at me. You can see me, but then if you look at me long enough, you're going to hear me and you're going to see me point right back to yourself. And that's where I would add that caveat onto that. That's all.
To me, I think to me it sounds like in Buddhism, how we assume if we're ignorant about Buddhism, how there's like one Buddha, and there was like someone that we can say was like the Buddha, or like the first Buddha, or someone who recognized his Buddhahood, but we're all little Buddhas. So it's kind of, and I don't know. I think I agree with both of you.
Well, all right.
I don't know. I think Jesus was like the perfect conduit, but not necessarily the only conduit.
Right. And I think I think we agree on that within nuances. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah. But good stuff, folks.
You know what I think it's about time for, though.
It is.
I think it's time for our special guest.
It's the Heretic of the Week.
Hi, I'm Barrett Johnson.
And
And what?
I didn't even know what I was supposed to say.
And I'm a heretic.
This guy.
What is this, amateur hour?
Oh, I gotta say I'm a heretic. Okay, let me try again. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Hi, I'm Barrett Johnson, and I'm a heretic. You guys sound as excited as I am to be here.
Well, everybody, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel. We've been through every possible heretic. We've been through every possible heretic we could go through, and we decided to get the guy with the banjo in the corner. Barrett, come on over. Pull up a chair.
That's good. I'll be honest, guys. I've heard you guys do that 100 times, and it doesn't get old to me. I love it every time. It's so good.
It's so stupid.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Well, I got to go. I'll see you guys around.
It's been great.
It's been great.
Barrett, it's amazing that you're on the show, because I was just asking about who does our intro song at the beginning of the show, and it's amazing that here you are.
Yep.
Oh, incredible.
Yeah. And most people don't know that Ralph actually wrote the lyrics. He doesn't get credit for that. So I'm trying to set the record straight. Don't send me your emails. Just send them on over to Ralph.
Right. So, but you're doing everything else, right? You do the harmonies, you do the singing, the banjo, the whole thing.
No, I wrote the melody and the chord progression, and my friend John Hansen did all of the. He's my producer, and he did all of the harmonies on it. So.
Oh, no way! Wow.
Yeah.
See, I learned something new.
It certainly wasn't us three.
No,
that's obvious.
but it is, dude. Seriously, the theme song from day one. That theme song has been one of my favorite things about doing the podcast. I love it every single time. We kicked it off with that song. I'm like, damn, that's a good song. It's such a great theme song. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
But that's not the only music you play, right? You do like real music, not just this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I do some writing. I just released the first song under a new name. I'm now writing under the name Motel Paradise, and I just released a video and a song called Desert Island Living Room that I just released. So,
which, by the way, is a fantastic song and a fantastic video.
Yeah,
thanks.
It is a great song. Yeah.
Can I ask you, okay, so it appears that you recorded this video during the midst of a pandemic when everybody was off the street, because So what inspired you? I mean, how did you come up with an idea of filming a video like that in the middle of a pandemic where everybody's afraid to go outside, and here you are literally in the middle of an intersection in one scene, at the beach, I think, in another, and what was behind that, and what inspired you to do that?
Yeah, I was driving through LA, and it was a ghost town. There was nobody there, and I just kept thinking about it for the next few days, and I was like, it may never look this way ever again. And I kept having this picture of me sitting with a little living room set, just on a rug or something all over the city. And I told a friend about it. I'm like, man, I just keep having this picture in my head, and I had that song already, written, and I just thought, it would totally work for this song. And so the friend suggested, he's like, why don't you just go film a video? And I'm like, that seems impossible. The city's closed right now, And so I called the one person who could possibly do it, and it's a friend in the LAPD, and he said he dabbles in film, and he said, yeah, we should do it. And my wife just said we got to keep a few feet of distance, and I was like, okay, let's do this. I didn't even have the song recorded, and then I went into the studio, and a friend of mine was producing from a FaceTime call in another friend's studio who opened the side door for me. And we were in separate rooms the entire time we were recording. And everything kept coming together, and all my friends kept saying yes and kept helping me with this music video.
Yeah, it's really great, man. So you had already written the song, because I know I heard you perform it a few months ago, long before this happened. But you hadn't recorded it, so you had to both record it and film the video, like within what, a week?
A week, yeah.
Dude.
It was a lot. I didn't think we were gonna be able to do it, but yeah, we kept moving along, and then we'd run into real problems, like with the filming. My friend, at one point we had a drone that we were using, and a police chopper came down and swooped by us. And I was like, well, this is it for us, video's over. And, we nothing happened out of that. And, it was a couple situations that, could have gone another way, but, here we are. Video got made.
So do we have, I'm not sure, producer, do we have a clip we can play of the song, or just kind of share a little bit of that with our audience?
Yeah, I mean, I sure, if you guys have it.
I've lived quite some time with no sunlight. I never leave my house. Who needs Mother Nature when you can just watch it from the couch? And anytime I'm lonely and I miss a human voice, I turn the TV up and sleep with the white noise. 'Cause I'm a castaway, I'm stranded, lost in the deep blue, in my desert island living room.
What made you, what is this song about? Like, you wrote the song long before the pandemic. So what are the lyrics about? Like, why did you write the song?
Yeah, it's a long story, but I guess I can just give part of it. Is that it was during a healing process, during an illness that I was going through. And I part of the illness was autoimmune related, and I couldn't, not only could I only eat a handful of foods for over a year and a half, but I couldn't be around dogs or cats. And so I kind of was isolated from everybody I know, because everybody has animals. And so, I wrote it. It was kind of a quick song that I wrote in a day that, I was visiting a friend, which was a rare thing for me during that year and a half. And I was just totally isolated, and he had to go to work. And I just wrote out, I wrote the entire song like in just a few hours, just in one sitting. So, yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I love the fact that it's almost like you were dealing with what the country or what our culture is dealing with, but you've been, and I've actually talked to, I have a friend that I was talking to he said, he made this comment to me. He said, I feel like I've been in shutdown mode for the last, several years. I've been in quarantine mode for the last several years. And he said, and it was just, obviously about his own journey and awakening, deconstructing and awakening to things. And it's almost like you personally experienced an illness that caused you to be, quarantined to your home, so to speak, but recognize ultimately that your healing is within. And that's a huge message. That's what I heard in your song, was that what we really need is not something that can be prescribed from an external source.
Yeah. And I don't want to comment too much on, because, everybody receives, things differently. And so I wouldn't want to, but I love that you see that.
Yeah. And by the way, I knew you were going to say that, because that's what true artists always say.
Right.
They leave the interpretation up to the beholding the art, right?
That's what lazy artists say when somebody has a better interpretation than their own.
Right.
Hey, I'm just quoting you, man. You said it in your song. The lyrics, man. I loved it. I thought it was I thought it was really timely. I thought the actual video of you being out on the street while everyone's locked away sends a great message. I really believe that. And the lyrics of the song, I think, is very timely. I just thought it was a very prophetic, if I can use that word, and just a great song that speaks to where we are as a culture right now.
So did you say it was pathetic? Something?
No, prophetic.
What?
prophetic.
Clean out your ears,
prophetic.
old man Giles.
Okay, sorry.
Man,
I need
just
new headphones.
old man Giles just roasting left and right. I can take it.
Oh man,
I've given it to you on some of your stuff. That's fine.
we love you. This is
Producer took it a different way, but that's fine.
Oh, man.
But Jamal, I appreciate that a lot. It means a lot to me when somebody relates to the lyrics and storytelling of the songs. That's the best compliment is that you connected with the story itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, good stuff. So now, what's going on with this song? And I know, so I know we've seen the video. It's on YouTube and shared it and stuff on Facebook and things like that. And if people haven't seen it, be sure and check it out. We'll make sure it's posted. Well, it already is, I'm sure, but we'll post it again in the Heresy After Hours group and the Heretic Happy Hour group as well and Facebook. And then the song, but like, can you download the song? Can people purchase the song? Is it just like on Spotify or?
Yeah, it's on all platforms. And, I've got also, hopefully this summer I can release a full length record that has been recorded for a couple of years that I've just been waiting to be in good health to release it. And I should be able. Yeah.
That'll be like on your Patreon page?
I don't have a Patreon, but
what?
I haven't even thought about it really.
Well, because you know what I've been thinking? I'm just going to start one for you and just kind of get it going.
Right. And steal my money. And that's
fine. No. I'll make it go straight to your PayPal account. Yeah. Because I just need to prove to you that this really is a good idea and you should be doing this.
Yeah, all right. I'm just going to keep mumbling.
Yeah. Oh, Barrett. Yes. Okay. Listen, you and I were talking. In fact, you and I were talking a while back, and you have another song which I think lyrically is an amazing song, and it's the what is it? The Dedicated Underachiever.
Oh no! Steadfast Underachiever.
Steadfast Underachiever. And I love the lyrics of that song, and you actually played a little bit of it for this lyric jam thing you do on Facebook.
Yeah, and, I haven't recorded that one yet.
But after even after we had talked for over an hour on that, we actually got on the phone and started talking and riffing about this great idea that I think you have to start a dedicated underachiever sort of a side business where you will be a demotivational speaker. And like one of the ideas, like you're going to text people, sign up, and you will text them daily demotivational statements, things like work never killed anybody, but why take a chance and things like that.
Yeah. I've actually, strangely enough, I've actually put a little effort into this, and I'm calling it anti-motivational coaching.
Good.
And I've got quite a few of these that I've been just banking and, see if I can scrounge up some clients who, are overachievers, chronic overachievers that I can, keep in bed a little longer. I'm trying. It's my way of helping out.
What I find really especially inspiring, though, Barrett, as we were talking about this, is that you actually have some people that have testimonials. Like one guy he was an investment banker, and he was on his way to like making like 6 or 7 figures, but he took your course, and then now he lives in his mom's basement. He never puts on pants. He plays Halo all day, and he's happier than he's ever been. And I think that's awesome. You're changing people's lives, Barrett.
I'm trying, and he's eating Captain Crunch and drinking Code Red Mountain Dew, 64 ounces of it, every couple hours. So it's.
I don't do it that often, Barrett. You can't call me the carpet like that.
It was an anonymous. It was supposed to be anonymous.
It was supposed to be. I thought we weren't going to talk about this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's.
One of these days, man, you got to pull. I'm going to help you. I think that's a great idea. That's just one of the best ideas I've heard in a long time.
Yeah, I'll start posting some of those soon. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
But Barrett, in all seriousness, you do have an upcoming album coming up, don't you? And later this year, right?
Hopefully this summer. I'd like to release it this summer. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, what are some of the themes in the album?
Yeah, I guess the best way I can I can say, especially there's quite a few songs that are songs that I sang to myself when I was going through my healing process, and during during some of the darkest times, I would sing these songs to myself every single day, as I was writing them. And one of them is Matt's theme song to his podcast, Bonfire. And it is definitely
thank you for mentioning the show.
A lot of heresy in that one. But yeah, that song, maybe we can play a clip of that too.
In my day of dying, I'm gonna sing, sing, sing. In my day of dying, I'm gonna sing, sing, sing. Singing hallelujah, singing hallelujah. Well, in my day of dying, I'm gonna sing.
It's one of the ones I sing to myself literally every single day. And so my hope is that some of these songs could be songs that people could hear and feel that some of the same things I was feeling when I was singing them to myself every day to, for hope, I guess.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And do you see, and I know this is not trying to get you to say anything, but do you see your music and like this upcoming album? Do you see the synchronicity and the timing of when it's all coming out? Can you see that?
Yeah, I can only hope that other people relate to it in a certain way. That's something that obviously you can't control. You just, you write and you hope that people relate. And so I do think that it's interesting, the timing of some of this.
Sure.
But I also people receive different songs at different times for different reasons. And if they're going through darkness, sometimes, I cling to songs when I'm going through difficult things. And so that's the reason why I make music is to, even if they're funny songs, it's hopefully it speaks to somebody, in those times. That's my favorite.
Totally.
So
yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. That's beautiful. Well, we're looking forward to that album coming out this summer. So where can people
appreciate it?
Yeah. Where can people connect with you or, just, I don't know if you have a mailing list or website
or a Patreon page, something like that.
I heard you have a Patreon page.
This would be a perfect time to promote your Patreon page. Here you are on a huge podcast. Like, I don't know.
Nope. Doesn't exist, but you can reach me on Instagram _Motel Paradise _ or on Facebook. And I'm sure that I will post when the record comes out. And I'm not going to have a Patreon page. And
okay.
So I'll see you guys around.
All right.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you having me. I really had a good time.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming to play.
Well, I mean, people should know you have and we're all tongue in cheek. I mean, we joke around a lot, but you have such a huge part. You have this show really is the ethos of your journey. And I mean, obviously I think it's so fitting that you'd be the one singing the theme song. It's your voice behind the heresy button. People probably don't know that, but that's you.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, this show really does carry your spirit, I feel like. And even though you've not been on the podcast, I don't think before, I think this is probably your first time on the Heretic Happy Hour podcast. It feels like you've been here the whole time. So this is really
appreciate it.
An extension of you, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, you guys.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, Barrett.
Bye, Barrett.
Wow, that was great. Love Barrett Johnson. So great. Usually he's sitting over there in the corner on a stool, sort of like clipping his toenails during the show while we're, doing our thing with his banjo.
Yeah. It's good. Good guy. Well, should we move on to our topic?
Yes.
Do we have a topic today? What are we talking about?
Well, actually, here's what's interesting about this show is that our topic today is that I have an announcement.
But
we already did that.
I think we did that already, didn't we?
No, actually, I have a real announcement. Okay, cat's out of the bag. Those other times were not real announcements. This was kind of a running joke that came out of a mistake I made.
Oh, was it? Was it?
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't notice the pattern.
Totally. But I actually do have an announcement for our listeners. It's actually not an announcement for you guys, but I do have an announcement for our listeners today. And that is this bittersweet announcement, that this is going to be my last show. This is going to be my last episode.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Wow.
Michael Scott.
I thank you, Michael Scott. Yeah. Well,
amazing.
I'm still here. I didn't hang up the phone. What is this all about?
Wait, Barrett, what are you doing on the show, Barrett? I thought we hung up.
we can't get rid of this
No,
guy.
I'm still here, and now I'm going to stay on the phone because I want to hear this and I want to chime in. So
Yeah, this is
I'm sticking around. Sorry, guys.
This is really monumental. This is
This is
wow,
monumental.
Jamal. So you just got sick and tired of this? What's going on?
No. In all seriousness, yeah, this is something that we've been talking about. But yeah, this is going to be my last show. It's been such a pleasure actually to be a part of this team and to be on the podcast with you guys. Almost going on 3 years now. So not quite 3 years, exactly, but going on 3 years. And it's been honestly, none of us saw the Heretic Happy Hour really what it could be and where it's going and all of that kind of thing. I mean, I think it started off as an idea, initially out of just a couple of conversations that we recorded, and then it developed into a full-fledged podcast. And we've been going strong, met some beautiful, incredible people along the way, and really connected to a great group of listeners from all over the world, really. But I have sensed, I just me personally, like, I've come to recognize that everything in life is seasonal. Everything has a beginning and an end. And I've just learned to recognize that and to flow with it. And I have sensed my participation, with the show coming to an end. It's just something I've sensed. I've loved it. I've seen people talk about fruit and results and all of that. I mean, from the Christian world, but a lot of times that can be, I'm not meaning it to sound like that, but at the same time, this really has been a ministry, and the word ministry really means service. I think it's the original word in the Greek that's used for ministry. That's translated ministry, and in our copies of the Bible. So the root of that word though is service, and I really feel like we have done a service to people listening to this show. I know you guys would agree with that.
Yeah.
I've really sensed that. I've heard from so many people that have benefited from our perspectives and our conversation, our agreement, our disagreements, our just hashing things out and talking things through. It's been so beautiful to see the fruit. And by fruit, I mean just the outgrow of this internal process that we've all of us have, worked our way through. So I've appreciated it. I've been blown away about it, almost, just surprised by it. But after almost 3 years, I have sensed the energy shifting for me. And part of that is due to, I've heard somebody say this and I agree with it. Like, make sure your head, your heart, and your ass are all in the same place. And I've sensed my heart shifting, kind of moving in a direction. A lot of that has to do with my own journey, but I have I've said this on the podcast before, but I'm a life coach, and so my work has really expanded in that over the last couple of years, and I really feel like I need to just give all my energy. It's not really a time thing, it's more of an energetic focus, really, to pour my focus into my work as a coach, just because I think people really, I think that's what I'm here to do. And I really feel like people need that. The people I'm working with need that. So I've just made the decision to step away from the show. And I think that allows a new season, allows the Heretic Happy Hour to move in a new season and where it needs to go. And it allows me to focus in a direction I need to go as well. And I've just learned that when you don't acknowledge that or really pay attention to that, then that's when things can get out of alignment. So I'm just wanting to stay in alignment with where I am and where I'm headed.
Right. Yeah.
Is this because of that review, Jamal? That you don't have to tell Keith anything. It's because of the
All
review.
right. Okay, if we're gonna be honest. If we're being honest here.
Just between you and me.
Honestly, no.
Whew,
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
just
you.
playing.
Yeah.
Well, because this is the thing too. And we talked about this before. I mean, we have talked about it in a long time, but it's one of my favorite things about this podcast. And usually, when I tell people about the Heretic Happy Hour podcast, one of the main things I always tell them is, what I love about this podcast is that the three of us don't agree. But every single episode that we do together, no matter what the topic is, no matter who the guests are, we get to model what it looks like for people to disagree and still love each other and respect each other. And that's what I've appreciated the most about doing this with you guys. And Jamal, I think you especially, I think even from the beginning when we did those three little episodes before we launched the Heretic Happy Hour, man, you've just always been so gracious to me and it's, so patient, I think, with all of us. And I really appreciate the grace you've shown me through all of this. And the fact that, because again, this only works if all of us are on that same page, that we all have that same value. And so it means a lot to me, Jamal, that you've always you've really been leading the way, I think, all the way through.
Well, thank you, Keith. I appreciate that. And I know, likewise, I can say for you, I appreciate you. And I know that, we've kind of made a joke about it, but we do go back and forth on perspectives throughout. That's been a big theme of the show. And I've appreciated the grace and the patience that you've shown to me as well. And even to allow yourself to entertain ideas, that maybe just like, I just don't see it that way. And I appreciate that. I appreciate your patience and your grace and just being able to hold the space, have a container where we can have these important conversations.
Yeah. And I got to say one last thing too about, at least maybe not the last thing, but, but one thing about that too, is that you have changed my mind, Jamal. I got to be honest. I got to say, early on, that was kind of the running joke at the beginning was like, because we used to disagree, I think, at the beginning, much more strongly at the beginning of the podcast. But as things went along, I more and more, every episode found myself saying at least once, I agree with Jamal. And so that's because all of us in this podcast have had these conversations. We've challenged each other. We've offered differing perspectives. I hope that people have listening to the podcast, like you're saying, Jamal, it's been a ministry to them because they're also now exposed to different views. But even that we ourselves can change our minds on things over time. And that's only because, we can all hold loosely to our beliefs and recognize we're not our beliefs and all of that. So anyway, I'm also grateful that you've helped me to really process through some things. And I'm grateful. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for saying that. And I want to say something about Matt, if I could, as well, because Matt, what a lot of listeners, obviously we've had the privilege of meeting each other, knowing each other, and just interacting. And Matt, you sometimes, and forgive me if if I've said, I don't mean to be offensive with this, but Matt, sometimes you come across as, no, I'd never say that about you. Never say that. I would say sometimes you come across as being very direct or forceful or just, edgy, in some ways. And I think that's what people appreciate about you, that you're very raw and honest and edgy. I mean that in a good way, but I think I would also want people to know that you're a sweetheart.
Well, thank you, Jamal. That means a lot. Well, because it's one of those things that I love about our relationship here is that it's been comfortable and we're able to joke around with each other because we do have like these personal relationships. And so it's been on the one hand, like this professional, amazing thing that I never thought would happen, that we're about a 250,000 downloads, but none of that means shit compared to like the fact that you've stayed at my house. We've hung out in Southern California. We've hung out in Northern California. We have this relationship that goes well beyond just doing a podcast, which I think is, it's obvious, I hope, in the podcast itself that we genuinely like each other. We it's way beyond just this thing that we're recording.
For sure. And what I appreciate about you, Matt, is that we've had, like any working relationship, when you work with people for a while, there's going to be, especially when there's sometimes egos involved, and I've, got an ego. So like there's, whenever sometimes there's people get bristled or, whatever, there's always, you're going to need to have conversations, and what I've always appreciated, we've had some heated conversations behind the scenes sometimes. And what I've really appreciated about you, Matt, is you always like keep that personal perspective, like just reaching out to me personally and just wanting to like have that personal connection and know that, hey, we love each other. And you really have a very tender, and it's one of the strongest parts about you is your tenderness, your heart, and it really comes across in the just the way you've interacted towards me as we've worked together these last 3 years. So I really appreciate that about you.
Well, thanks, man. Likewise, right back at you.
Yeah. So this is our final episode, everybody. Thank you for listening to Heretic Happy Hour. It's been so much fun.
No. Can I say something? Real quick? I also want to say this, because this is not news, for the listeners, they're like, oh my gosh, Jamal's, just bailing on, leaving the show. But this is a conversation that we as a team have been having for the last few months, several months, maybe half a year. I don't even know how long it's been, but we've been talking about this, and your just how you've handled things. Like you've been very gracious, allowing me to process my journey, feeling like, okay, I think I'm heading a different direction. And, you've just been very gracious and patient. So, as we've talked about this, even asking like, hey, do we want to end the show and or not? And obviously I'm like, no, you guys, if that's not something you want to do, you need to move forward. And so I'm so excited about the decisions that you guys have made about where the show's going to go beyond me and how you're going to take it and move it forward. So I'm sure you guys will talk about that. I don't want to talk about that for you, but I just want to say I'm excited. Not that you need it, but I give you my blessing. I really, really want to like bless the show and the direction you guys move forward and where it goes from here. I'm just very excited, and I'm going to be a cheerleader in your corner.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Appreciate it very much. Thank you. And also, that was only possible because, you're talking about the grace we kind of gave you, but that's only possible because you gave us a very long runway. You gave us a heads up way at the beginning. As soon as you even were thinking about might possibly be thinking about needing to move on. And we gave you time to process that. And you gave us plenty of time to work out how we were going to transition without you and all that. And so thank you, because like you could have just said, hey guys, I'm out, bye, and left us hanging. And you really didn't do that. And I thank you very much for doing that.
Absolutely.
So you guys, are you hiring?
Yeah, big revolutions.
Yes. Well, we need it. Yeah, one baldy for the next.
Yeah. Another bald white guy.
Wait
we just trade out one bald white guy. For
Nobody will notice.
Oh yeah, that's right. Jamal's white. I forgot.
Nobody will notice at all. I
just talk about Mary Magdalene.
I know enough. I know Jamal well enough to sit in this place. I think I know what he'd say for most things.
Yes. Oh man. Hey, listen. So the Love Fest has been great, but I think it's time to get into some roasting.
Are we telling our favorite Jamal stories?
Favorite stories. We've got to. Yes.
Well,
their last chance.
I could just give a little insight to, just a couple of Jamal things that maybe some people, don't know about. Jamal and I have been on some adventures over the years, some road trips and some different things. And one thing that people may not realize about Jamal is that he happens to be the most terrifying driver in the entire world. I have never feared for your life. Let me just put it this way. There's been a couple times where I've white knuckled it in a car so much that I feared for my life.
That's hilarious. What? That's hilarious because everybody I know agrees with you on this.
I love that you'll admit that. That's so great that you could actually say.
A couple times to stick out is we were in San Francisco. I forget what trip we were on. We were driving up north, and he just sailed right through an intersection, turning left, just right through red. And it wasn't even like turning yellow. It was like he just didn't notice there was a stoplight, and we just sailed right through. And it's like, I felt sick to my stomach for like 2 seconds. You're just like, oh God, like this is it. This could be it. Another time, I remember, I don't know where we were, Jamal. Do you remember the time we were driving through maybe West Texas or something, or Arizona? It was starting to rain, and Jamal, when he's been driving for a while, is kind of leaning up on the steering wheel, and he's going 90, 95, and it's starting to rain, and I'm just like, Jamal, we just gotta slow down, man. He's just climbing at just breakneck speed, when it's starting to go down.
Man. Yeah, sometimes I get lost in my mind sometimes, or my thought or whatever, and I just
Oh, really?
it can happen. It can happen sometimes.
Well, I'm just thankful that every time I've been to Southern California, I just realized right now that Keith or Ralph have driven.
Yeah.
I've never, Jamal's never driven. I've never been in a car, and I'm thankful.
And
Me too.
You guys
Yeah.
probably know this, but when you're on a road trip with Jamal, time is apparently a relative thing, because
It doesn't exist.
Jamal's the only person I've met that has constructed an entire worldview that changes the nature of time to excuse himself from basically, for being late. And so Jamal, I just wanted to ask you, how does it feel to not be confined to the space-time continuum?
Man, it feels incredible, but I wish everybody else would join me.
Right, then we wouldn't be all worried that you're late.
Oh man. It's all
beautiful.
It is. I think it is. Maybe Jamal showed up to a recording before Keith or myself twice in 78 episodes. Is that
probably?
Is that generous? Is that generous?
That's generous. Yes.
My goodness.
But the weird thing is, it's so consistent that you can plan for it.
That's right.
That's a good thing.
Hilarious.
I'll log on, wait 10 minutes, get some coffee.
That's
yeah.
I can go smoke. I can go smoke some more weed.
Well, it's just evidence that the global clock is off. So because if it's consistent, you can program your clocks around it. Then maybe that's what needs to happen.
Here he goes. This is how he draws you in. At first you go, that sounds reasonable, and then you're next thing you know, you're neck deep in some water where time doesn't matter anymore, and there's no such thing as appointments, and you're just lost. This is how he starts slow, and he sounds convincing.
It's a slippery slope. I'm telling you, slippery slope.
But you guys, it's been an honor to be here for Jamal's last episode. And Jamal, your voice has been very important to me in my life. It's been super important to the show. I love that all three of you don't agree on stuff. I've really enjoyed you being on the show, and your voice in my own life. So I'm glad that I'm here for this, for the last episode, and hopefully you can guest sometime.
Yeah, would love that. Thank you, Barrett. I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be bittersweet, but it's been a good ride for sure, and the journey continues. Absolutely.
In some way, I think we should have you on as a guest, but sometimes you do take the long way home when you're talking about something, and sometimes I'm too. It might be an hour-long episode, and my pothead ass, I get lost sometimes. I got to be honest, I get distracted.
Yeah.
I'm like, Jamal, let's get to the point, man. I know there's a punchline. And I love it, but that's more about me than you.
So what are you saying?
I can't.
Really
you're a storyteller, and I'm more blunt and direct, like we talked about earlier. Just give me the punchline, and because I'm probably too stoned to even pay attention to you sometimes.
Well, sometimes I've learned that if you can forestall actually spouting the heresy, then you can delay the stoning. So if you can just
oh, there you go. That's your tactic. Okay.
Stalling.
Okay. You have to unpack it so that when
it's very wise.
Hear it, it's like, well, I guess that doesn't sound so bad.
Yeah, I think I actually kind of agree with him. After 75 episodes, I'm finding myself agreeing with him.
Yeah. So, Jamal, and actually, I don't think you and I have ever talked about this directly. I've talked to other people about this, about what you do, how you do this, but I don't think I've ever asked you directly. So I'm curious, because I've noticed something that you do, and you do it all the time on the podcast, and you even do it just in conversation with people, where you kind of lead with a very shocking sort of a statement.
Yep.
And then you will slowly, because then people go, what the hell are you talking about? And then you slowly kind of, well, let me tell you what I mean. And then you slowly explain it. By the time you get to the end of the explanation, this is why I end up going, oh yeah, I agree with that. But I don't agree with like that first statement because it's so shocking. It sort of like knocks you back and you go, what? So is this something that you just have do it naturally, or is this something you have thought about and said, you know what, this is a good way to communicate with people and to kind of get them to process things? Like, I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a really good question, and it is something I do it on purpose, and I do think I have thought about this. The reason I do that is, again, it's because I don't mean to be offensive. I'm not trying to like say something just to be disagreeable or to get people to react, but people hear through filters. It's just natural. It's human nature that the brain is always trying to make sense of things. So, if you see let's say you've seen a few people and then like you see somebody out in the street, you go, oh, that looks like so-and-so. And you kind of put that person in that category. Or, because we're always making sense, trying to make sense of things, patterns. And so a lot of times, when we use similar words, especially when we're having spiritual conversations about things like Christianity and the Bible and all of these things, Christians tend to hear, I might use the same words, but I mean something drastically different. And I really don't want people to hear me through their own grid or filter. So I'm going to make a statement that shocks somebody, not because it's untrue, because they may eventually come to the conclusion of that thing that they disagreed with in the beginning. But the reason I say it that way is because it jolts us awake. And when you go, what? Wait, it's like some people, there's a whole science behind there's actually a book about the scientific use of taboo language. And Matt, you do this. Like when you drop a cuss word, just boom, instantly, like anybody. But like I know you do on occasion. You do that. I know you do that on occasion. But when you say something in a way that jolts somebody, now you have their attention, and now you can have a conversation with them they're not going to just hear you and assume you agree with them and hear you through the grid. And I think I think you even see Jesus doing that in a lot of ways, because again, you have to jolt. There's got to be this jolt. Like, it's kind of like when someone's in a panic and they're just like kind of losing their mind. And you've all seen where someone will throw like cold water in their face, like, snap out of it, man. Mm-hmm. It's because like the loop, the train of thought, our minds will take us in this loop, and it's hard to break the loop until you just shock it. And then boom, you're now awake and you're going, okay, now listen. And that's kind of why I do that, because I don't mind the disagreement at first. But I don't want somebody just to disregard what I'm saying, because I think that there's a distinct difference of what I'm trying to. That's kind of the long answer to your question.
No, but but I appreciate that. It's one of the things about you I really love is that I've come to love. I think in the beginning I was sort of like, what the hell is this guy saying? But I caught on pretty quick. Like, okay, this is not accidental. This is absolutely on purpose. And I think it's genius. I think it totally works. So,
like when I say the Bible doesn't exist, like what do you mean it doesn't exist?
Yes,
it's right there.
10 of them, and they're all marked up. And I bring them to Bible study.
It exists. It's right here. But it's like, no, it actually doesn't exist. So what do you mean by that? Okay, let me tell you. I actually mean something by that.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Right. No, it's great. I love it.
Yeah.
So what are Jamal, do you have any memories of, as you look back over your 78 episodes of the Heretic Happy Hour podcast, any memories or stories or anything you want to talk about?
Favorite guests maybe too?
Favorite guest?
Oh, there you go.
Well, gosh, there's been so many. I think somebody I really felt connected to as far as a guest. Most of our guests I've really enjoyed. I enjoyed Richard Rohr, Father Richard Rohr, when we talked to him because of the conversation. I love the fact that he can have this conversation in the Christian world, as a Roman Catholic priest, which is, but I feel very much that the conversation I'm talking about when it comes to I am, to Christ not being Jesus' last name, but being a synonym for everything. That's my message. That's something that really resonates deeply with me. So I really appreciated him and just the perspective he brought. I really thought Carlton Pearson's interview was really good. I really connected with him too, because I think he's been on this journey and really has paid a very significant price in ways that in ways that a lot of folks couldn't relate to, because, we're talking about somebody's entire identity being wrapped up in multi-million-dollar ministry, quote unquote, and lost it all, and was a pioneer when nobody was doing this. This is even pre-Rob Bell, So very significant figure in the history of the deconstruction of evangelical Christianity in America. He was, whether most people, obviously it's a significant story. That's why Netflix did a movie about him. But even if you haven't heard his story or don't know it, that's how, I just respect pioneers like him in this journey. So I've appreciate him. Appreciate that. Really, those are two that really jump off the page to me as being extremely significant, just for me personally.
Yeah. I think they were back to back too, weren't they? Those interviews were close, and that was like, whoa, Rohr and Pearson, such stories to tell, such amazing things to say. And that's one of the cool things about this whole show, is that we've had the opportunity to talk to some of the most amazing people out there.
Yeah, I agree, because I think those two are great examples of. Now, we love all of our guests. We've had some amazing guests. I think some of the best ones are the ones that probably a lot of people never heard of them, didn't know who they were before they listened to their story. But specifically, Rohr and Bishop Carlton Pearson, those are two guys that when we're talking to each other about the podcast and we find out, oh, by the way, we just got Richard Rohr for the podcast, or we just confirmed Carlton Pearson for the podcast. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. It was huge. It was just so incredible that we'd even got the opportunity to talk to guys like that. So yeah, those are two of my favorites too.
Yeah, it was, those were cool. And I also remember there was, just the episode about There's Something About Mary, where you guys just gave me a platform to talk about Mary Magdalene. Can you believe it? I was like a kid in a candy store. Like, you kidding me? And that you would allow me the space to do that. That was so fun, man, because a lot of people won't give me that kind of time.
I wonder why.
So I appreciate that.
We regret it. I don't know why. Why did we do that? It was just so crazy.
No, I don't regret. That was one of our most downloaded episodes. It's one of our most popular ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know you're kidding.
It was very, I've actually gotten a lot of feedback from listeners over the years that, or for the last 3 years, that whenever we put that out, people were asking me, about that journey and, more information about her story. And that was beautiful. Something that made me laugh, just the little things that, some of the little inside things that people don't know. One of the reasons I say, can we queue up that text? When it comes to the hotline, it's because I made a mistake one time early on in the show. Was like, hey, I don't know why I said, can we queue up the text? And Matt's like, you can't fucking queue up a text. And I laughed so hard. I was like, it was the funniest thing in the world. You queue up an audio, or right. You don't queue up a text. It's in written form.
And you've said it that way ever since then, because it was so great. Can you queue up a text? That's the only way we say it.
But sometimes when I'm I'll just be going about my day and I'll remember that statement by Matt. And I'll just start laughing, man.
Now we also need to say, related to that, the reason why you always also introduce the hotline by saying, "Hey, everybody, can I make an announcement?"
Right. Because early on, I think it was it was
episode 0. It was we're going to introduce the show and how great we are.
It was what do they call a pilot or whatever? Right? The pilot episode, and I zoned out for a moment, and you guys had already talked about the hotline before. So I'm not the first one to talk about the hotline. You guys actually did that, but then I didn't remember it because I was zoned out, and so I was like, "Hey, and we have an announcement," or "Hey, we have a hotline," and they're like, "We already just said that, you idiot! We just what are you just are you with us? And then I played it off oh, well, we have an announcement, and then I just kind of kept going from there. 78 episodes in, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
we're still going. The longest running joke. Yes.
That horse has not been beat dead yet, apparently.
It is not dead yet. Oh, dude.
Wow. Well,
yeah.
I have some parting advice for our listeners, if I could, before we sign off.
Oh, yeah, please. You prepared is this a closing statement?
Yes. Okay. So
something about Mary Magdalene, something about I am.
Well, I again, for time's sake, I kind of have just headlines. Okay. So my top 10. So I came up with a list of 10 shocking statements that I believe that if you like, these may sound very quote unquote heretical, but I actually believe are very sound to the faith if we will unpack them. So I've come up with 10 of these statements, and I would love for people, listeners who've listened to the show over the last 3 years, to remember me by these 10 statements. Okay. And if you'd like some more information about this, you can find it out, but I wanted to leave. These are my 10 parting
shots,
isms or truths, or however you want to put this. These are the top 10 things I would love for people to know. All right. Can I start? Tell me when I can start.
Yeah, bring it on.
Okay.
We need like a drum roll or something, like a big, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Well
maybe not. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay, here we go. Boom. Number one, knowing yourself is all you need to be concerned with. That's the only place you'll find God. And religion is what gets this backwards. So religion thinks if you know God, you can know yourself. But I will tell you this. If you get to know yourself, you will get to know God. Can't get the order wrong. Number two, you can know all things. And the reason I say that is because in this whole conversation of deconstruction, it's all about what we don't know. And I get that because it's coming from, we're talking about from the analytical kind of rational mind. But I mean this in a way that goes beyond the mind. You can know, and by know, I'm talking about knowing from that deep place. You can know everything. You can be all knowing. It's very possible. You can achieve that. It's very easy. But you can only get to that place when you transcend the mind and when you come to a place of rest. That's the second thing I would say. You can know all things. So don't worry about what you don't know, and don't be known by the person as the person who doesn't know anything. Be known as a person who knows everything, like Jesus. Okay. Number three, Christianity doesn't, and I mean this in all sincerity, and I understand there's some great people throughout the ages, last 2,000 years, beautiful people, but on the earth, by and large, Christianity does not yet exist. Okay. And the reason I say that is because the Christianity that does exist, that which is called Christianity, is not Christianity. It has been shaped by a book called the Bible, which was invented by a select group of people in the 4th century. So therefore, what we are reacting to is not actually even real. But by and large, this way that's called Christianity, that was demonstrated by the person, Jesus, does not and has not by and large existed on the earth yet. But I am hopeful that it will be soon and is coming into being. But here's how you're going to know. When you really buy into Christianity, you'll lose the identity of Christianity. It will not be a term of identity. You will not be classified by it. And that's how you know you got it. Number 4, you are, and that means the listeners here, if you're listening to my voice, you are the Word of God. You personally are the Word of God. Because all a word is a vibration in language. It's a vibration that gives expression to an immaterial intention. So a word represents something immaterial. A word is representative, a material thing that represents the immaterial. And you're literally at the cellular level, at the energy level, a vibration. And that vibration is a sound. You are a sound that comes from the source. So that means you are the Word of God. It is not a book. It is not just one person. It's you. Number 5, I would say this. Number 5, reaction leads to repetition. So if you are in a place of just reacting to things, you end up repeating the thing that you're reacting to. You become what you oppose. And that's really important to say in this context, because a lot of us, and I get it, I come from Christianity, but if we are in reaction mode to this thing called Christianity, which isn't even real, by the way, you end up creating the reaction itself creates the very thing that you're trying to get away from. I see this in politics, folks, especially folks who are steeped in conservative evangelical Christianity, right-wing Republican Christianity, literally become the same exact thing they just buy hook, line, and sinker everything that comes from a progressive, democratic, liberal camp, and that they become the very same thing. I see it all the time, and you lose the ability to see what's real. So you become what you oppose. Number 6, I'm not one for conspiracy theories, so let me encourage you as you're listening to this. Don't believe in the greatest conspiracy of all time. Okay? One of the largest conspiracies that has ever come across the world scene has been this conspiracy called orthodoxy. Don't believe in conspiracies such as orthodoxy. Okay, it is literally ridiculous that a group of people in the 4th century would get together and claim to speak on behalf of a very diverse way and shape this thing, and then get to tell you that, that which existed previous to the 4th century didn't actually exist, and this is the way it is. And people buy into it. They don't question it. Hook, line, and sinker. They just become like, this is the way it is. And then if you deviate from the conspiracy of orthodoxy, they look at you as if you're the crazy one. But in reality, the real conspiracy is the thing that we're calling orthodoxy. It's not just, that is what we call Christianity. It's a conspiracy. But not only Christianity, most of what goes on in the world, is it fits along those energetic lines. It's kind of the same kind of frequency. So don't believe in conspiracies like orthodoxy. Question things. That's why this show was created, because this is a safe place where you can actually ask questions. So don't be shamed by not just buying what the man tells you. Question it. And I don't mean be skeptical and disbelieve it just for the sake of doing it, but literally perceive it from a place of understanding that, the most of the things that we've been conditioned by were actually incorrect. And Christianity is a great example of that. So don't believe in conspiracies such as orthodoxy. So conspiracy theories are not a place to go. Number 7, censorship is revealing. So again, I think I really want to say this, like, in history, what we can see, of course, a lot of our conversations about Christianity, in the 4th century, there was a major thing that happened by the church, which they adopted censorship as a way to react to things that disagreed with the status quo. And this is what happened. There was a whole group of scriptures, a whole group of writings, a whole group of things that were censored. Instead of just disagreeing and talking about why they disagreed, they banned them, and you could not see them or hear them. Censorship is revealing of the energy of the person who's doing the censoring, because they actually feel threatened. This might even be conscious. So anybody who censors, that there's something fishy going on. So again, this goes along with what I said before. Don't believe in conspiracies. Okay. So censorship is what you have to do when you buy into conspiracies. So number 8, lack is an illusion. Lack is an illusion. Non-existence is not a thing. So you don't need to be afraid of something that doesn't exist. And that's what lack is. It's something that doesn't exist. So if it existed, that's the good thing about existence is it exists. And the good thing about non-existence is it doesn't exist. So lack is not a thing that you need to be worried about. And number 9, this is a word of advice, become transrational. What I mean by transrational is go beyond the rational. So I'm not saying abandon the rational, but go beyond it, because that's where everything is, in the transrational. And number 10, love is not something you do. That's right. Love is not something you do. It's who you are. So if you embrace who you are, you will do that. But love is not something you do. It's who you are. So start there. And when you know this truth, that love is who you are, you will be free to love. And that's it.
Oh, look at you.
Look at that.
Look at you.
Damn.
My soul cries out, hallelujah. Thank God.
That was great. Seriously, That was seriously great. I'm sitting listening to this going, damn, this should be your next book, man. This was really good.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for letting me share that. These are all things that people can dive into, at whatever level you want to. And I'm always available. I'm leaving the show, but I'm not leaving existence, because I am, and I always will be. And
always Jamal and always a Buckeye, right?
well, not always.
Yeah.
I won't always be Jamal. I won't always be a Buckeye, but I will be for the foreseeable future. But I will always be.
Yeah, in this life.
That's
in
right.
this life,
That's
yes.
right.
What if in your next life you're born a Michigan Wolverine?
Oh, hey now.
That's not possible.
I think it's so possible. I think that would help you expand your awareness of the oneness of everyone, including even Michigan State Wolverine people.
Just Michigan.
That would be the best thing possible for you.
Yeah, I mean, as long as just remember, like that guy in the Matrix who said, "Look, I just want to come back, but I don't want to. I just want to eat steak. And I don't.
I don't want to know.
I don't want to know. Just so I can enjoy the steak. So that's the only way it would work."
Oh man. Well, I got to say, I just got to say quickly, I love that top 10 list. We actually asked, that's one of the things we asked you to do is like, hey, you know, since you're leaving, give us like your top 10 parting thoughts. And that was beautiful. I don't have 10, but I would just say, I do have a couple of regrets personally that because you're leaving, I regret that, you know, you're leaving before you and I get to do an episode about aliens and UFOs, because that was going to be so good.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Thank you, Ralph. Thank you.
Well, I care. I was really looking forward to that so much. That would have been beautiful.
Yes, thank you, man. Wow. Yes.
I don't have any regrets, man. I loved it, man. I think it's gone beyond what I imagined it would be. It's like that guy who got that tattoo, no regrets, across the chest, and he spelled it wrong. No regrets. No, I mean it's been a blast, man. I don't know. It's bittersweet. I mean, I appreciate you know, giving us your blessing. You're in our corner no matter what. It's like the analogy I think of. It's not like you're not quitting. You're like, we're retiring your jersey. It's not, you're not moving on to another team. You're not a free agent. You're always part of the Heretic Happy Hour, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. I appreciate
always
that.
part of the family, man.
Thank you, my friends. I really appreciate that, and I'm looking forward to the future. You know, for you guys and for the show, and for you know, for me, for this next season. So it all fits together, you know, and it'll be good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thank you, listeners. I want to say to the listeners, thank you guys, just for tuning in faithfully, and it's an honor to share. Like, I know that a lot of the listeners, we haven't had the opportunity to meet in person, but a lot of them we have, and I've actually formed some really dear friendships and relationships from the show. And if you've been listening and we haven't had the pleasure of meeting, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you hosting this conversation that we're having. It's meant the world. And if, in the future, if you want to connect with me, if there's, like I said, if you're interested in coaching work or just delving deeper into some of these things, I'm always open for those conversations. I'm here to serve you. And if I can be of service to you, that doesn't end with this show. So thank you guys, to the listeners.
But this is, to make sure we're clear here, this is not the last episode of the podcast, right? We're going to keep going, right, Matt? Are we going to keep going?
I guess we'll try.
We'll
do something. We'll figure something out. I don't know.
Actually, don't.
Yeah, so yeah,
you guys do have plans for the show, and it's exciting. There's some really cool things happening with the show. So there's more for sure.
There will be more, and it won't be the same, but there will be more. So yeah, if you are listening, like, make sure we'll be sharing this far and wide, and we'll be in the Heresy After Hours group, of course. So make sure you pop on Facebook. Show Jamal some love. I think it'd be cool if you called the hotline and just left, like, if you want to say something to Jamal, leave him with some parting words. Make sure you hit up the hotline and or text. We can queue up a text. We can't do that. But yeah, just do that. Yeah. And go to our website, heretichappyhour.com, and go back and listen to your favorite Jamal episode, and pour a drink for yourself and have a tribute.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be really good to hear from our Facebook, from our followers and friends on Facebook. What's your favorite Jamal memory? What's your favorite, episode or something like that? That'd be really good. We'd love to hear it. Share the love. Send Jamal off with a lot of love and blessings.
Especially Ricky,
Yeah, Ricky, if you're listening, I don't know you are. Obviously, you do listen. So thank you for listening, Ricky. And
thank you for listening to my music.
Thank you for inspiring our music. We really couldn't have done this without you.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Amazing.
Number one fan at Doesn't really matter that Jamal's leaving because we're all gonna burn eventually anyway, huh?
That's right. We'll all be burning in the same fire together.
Yes.
It'll be great.
We'll get
man.
a reuniting someday in hell.
So, hey, should I be mentioning the Patreon page now? Is that where we are right now?
I think so.
Yeah, because Jamal's leaving,
Okay.
so we still got to go on, right?
Yeah, I guess we have to go on. Yeah. So, hey, if you do love the Heretic Happy Hour, and of course you do, you made it this far. Please go over to our Patreon page. Now, Barrett doesn't have one, but we do, and we have just loaded this thing. There's so much awesome stuff. There's bonus podcast interviews, bonus podcast content, conversations, so many great Jamal things over on the Patreon page. Head over there for as little as $2 a month. You can support the podcast, and you will get exclusive access to the Heretic Happy Hour Facebook group where we continue these conversations.
Yes, and guys, even though it's my last show, we finally made it on iTunes. And
we just did, and you're leaving right when
totally,
we get ready to iTunes.
Yeah, I know. And so the listeners can, if you've liked the Heretic Happy Hour, if you've listened to the show for a while, you can go and rate us and review us on iTunes. But after this show, it's only going to be 1 star. So that's it, man.
It's downhill from here, baby.
1 star, just a little review, like, hey, it's all right, you know.
This is where we jump the shark, everybody.
Fonzie's gone. That's it.
Yeah, that's right. We lost our Fonzie.
There's no way to end this.
Stop playing, Barrett. That's it. Fucking Jamal.
Yeah.